Welcome to Chapter 5 of Digital Communication, Baseband Modulation and Transmission. Module 2 includes inter-symbol interference, that is ISI. Inter-symbol interference is a interference between two adjacent symbols in time domain. So how ISI occurs and what will be the disadvantage of this interference and how to reduce this ISI, all these topics we are going to study. Here I am showing a representation of 3 bits, first bit, second bit, third bit. This format is non-return to 0 polar format. So this representing 1, this representing 0, this representing 1. So at every TV second we are transmitting a pulse like this. And the duration of each pulse is finite. So it is finite in time domain. When you transmit like this, at the receiving side the procedure is the switch is going to be closed at 0, at TB, at 2 TB, and then whatever be the voltage we are going to, or the receiver is going to get, based on that only the decision can be made. Just assume that we are transmitting +1 and -1, and if there is no distortion, if there is no attenuation, at the receiving side the same signal is going to be received. Switch is going to be closed at t is equal to 0, will get 1 volt, so the decision will be 1, -1 voltage, the decision will be 0. I am saying logic 1 and logic 0. Then again the switch is going to be closed at 2 TB, voltage will be +1, the decision will be 1. So we will get 1, 0, 1 at the receiving side. And here you can see at t is equal to 0, we are getting voltage only from P1 of t. When the switch is going to be closed at t is equal to TB, the voltage is occurring only from second pulse. At t is equal to 2 TB, the receiver will get a voltage only from third pulse for this example, because the duration of first pulse is only TB second, duration of second pulse is only TB second, duration of third pulse is only TB second. Each pulse is a finite time signal. There is no overlap between P1 of t and P2 of t, P2 of t and P3 of t. But for transmitting a pulses like this, the requirement is infinite bandwidth is needed. This is the power spectrum of non-return to 0 polar format. In the previous module we have studied this. If it is starting from 0, it will go up to plus infinity. If the signal is finite in time domain, it is always infinite in frequency domain. So for transmitting a pulse like this, that is rectangular pulses, we need infinite bandwidth. But there is no communication channel is going to support infinite bandwidth transmission. So if you are using infinite transmission, then others cannot transmit data. So then what is the solution is, before going to transmit the pulses, it should pass through a filter to make this signal band limited. So only band limited signal should be transmitted over a communication channel. So that is why this spectrum should be converted to a spectrum like this. Once it is converted to a spectrum like this, now we can say the signal is band limited, because you can see in frequency domain it is a limited width only FB hertz. Remember, negative side should not be taken when you are taking the width. So from 0 to FB, only FB hertz width. Normally that we are saying that is the bandwidth needed for transmitting this signal. But we can say that is a bandwidth provided if we are removing the side lobes. But when we are removing the side lobes, what is the disadvantage is we are compressing the signal in frequency domain. Frequency domain we are compressing. And compression in frequency domain is equivalent to expansion in time domain. You can see this one. See, the signals are expanded. Here the signal is finite time signal, but here the signal is infinite time signal. Second signal, infinite time. Third signal, infinite time. Each pulse is expanded with infinite width. I am repeating the procedure. 3 pulses with finite time, no overlap. So there is no interference between two adjacent pulses. This is a spectrum of these pulses. infinite bandwidth is needed, but with infinite bandwidth we are not able to transmit over any practical communication channel because infinite bandwidth is not available. So before transmission, band limiting is necessary. So we are removing a side lobes using a low pass filter with cutoff frequency FB hertz. We are getting a spectrum like this. Now this is finite width in frequency domain. But if it is finite in frequency domain, it will be infinite in time domain. So I am showing three separate pulses. Practically it is not like this. Now all these three pulses are going to be added. We will get an equivalent signal. But here just to show that each expansion I am showing separately. First pulse is expanded, second one is expanded, third one is expanded. Now surely we are able to see there is an overlap between two adjacent pulses in time domain. This is a reason for inter-symbol interference. Now when we can say interference? At the sampling time, so the switch is going to be closed. At the receiving side there is a sampler and output of sampler is given to decision device. The decision device will make a decision either 1 or 0. For this case, at t is equal to 0, switch is going to be closed. We are getting voltage only from first pulse, P1t. So we can say at t is equal to 0, there is no ISI. At t is equal to TB, when the switch is going to be closed, we will get a negative voltage from second pulse and there is a positive voltage from first pulse. This voltage is interference voltage because that is not the voltage of second pulse, that is the voltage of first pulse. So this is known as ISI. At t is equal to 2 TB, we are getting positive voltage from third pulse, positive voltage from first pulse and there is a negative voltage from second pulse. So this is again interference, that is ISI. And there is a possibility all these unwanted voltage may be greater than the required voltage and maybe in opposite polarity. So we'll get bit error. Like suppose this voltage is plus 1 and this voltage is maybe minus 0.9. So when you are adding these two, so it's a 1 plus minus 0.9, it will be 0.1. So the resultant voltage will be positive. Once the resultant voltage is positive, instead of making a decision 0, we'll make a decision 1. So that is why there is a possibility of bit error due to inter-symbol interference. So that is written here. Interference between two adjacent symbols in time domain at the sampling time is known as ISI. So just overlap is not an ISI, only at the sampling time. If it is creating an interference, then it is known as inter-symbol interference. So this can create bit error. Now here I am showing an example. Three pulses are expanded with infinite width but without ISI. Signals can be transmitted. So how it is possible? We can see. First P1 is expanded. I'm showing something like a sinc function. P2 is also expanded, again infinite width. P3 is also expanded with infinite width. But see the result. At t is equal to 0. What were the amplitude of P2 and P3? Amplitude of P2 and P3 are 0. So at t is equal to 0, we are getting amplitude only from P1t. So that's an indication. There is no interference. Next, at t is equal to TB, we are getting amplitude only from P2. So only this voltage, P2t. And whatever the amplitude of P1 and P3, 0. So if amplitude of P1 and P3 are 0 at TB, there is no interference. Similarly, at 2 TB, amplitudes of P1 and P2 are zeros. We are getting amplitude only from P3t. So this shows that signals can be transmitted with infinite width in time domain and without ISI, and again needs finite bandwidth. What is the requirement? At the sampling time of a pulse, amplitudes of other pulses should be 0. So if that condition is going to be satisfied, signals can be transmitted with finite bandwidth and without ISI. So that is going to be studied as an important topic. That is known as Nyquist criterion for distortionless baseband binary transmission. If P of NTB is equal to 1 when n is equal to 0 and is equal to 0 when n is equal to plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, etc., the signals can be transmitted without any distortion if no other noise is there. That is, the above condition assures distortionless reception in the absence of noise. So the same thing only what I said in the previous example. when the pulse is going to be transmitted, at the center point of that pulse, amplitude is 1. But at the sampling times of other pulses, amplitude of this should be 0. If that condition is going to be satisfied, P of t can be transmitted without generating ISI. So how this is possible? For that one, we should go for a filter like this. That filter is known as Nyquist filter. This is ideal low pass filter. If you are using this filter, that is before transmitting the signal directly, pass the signal through this filter. And if it is passing through this filter, then signals can be transmitted without any ISI. So we'll prove that result. So this filter is known as ideal low pass filter. That is a Nyquist filter. There is one more name, brick wall filter. That is due to the shape of a brick wall filter. And the transfer function is h of f is equal to tb. This is height is tb. h of f is equal to tb. tb is the duration of a bit. From minus fb by 2 to plus fb by 2, minus fb by 2 to plus fb by 2, and is equal to 0 elsewhere. That is a transfer function of this filter. And according to this filter, Nyquist bandwidth is equal to fb by 2 hertz. So that means according to Nyquist, for transmitting 100 bits per second, we need only 50 hertz bandwidth. For transmitting fb bits per second, fb by 2 hertz bandwidth. So we can prove this result using impulse response. If you are taking the impulse response, we will get the answer. These signals can be transmitted without ISI if you are using a filter like this with a cutoff frequency fb by 2 hertz. That is why impulse response of the Nyquist filter is going to be calculated. That is, impulse response is Fourier inverse of h of f. h of f is given here. Just take the inverse Fourier transform. Integral minus fb by 2 to plus fb by 2 tb e raised to j 2 pi f t df. So just do the integration, you will get the answer this one. Sinc fbt. This is the answer we are going to get. It will be in terms of initially sine pi fbt upon pi fb. Then the answer can be written in terms of finally sinc function. So it will be sinc fbt. Sinc fbt is pi fbt upon pi fbt. So that will be a sinc function, and we have studied sinc function in many previous topics. So once answer is in terms of sinc function, then we can draw the result like this. Substitute fbt is equal to 0. That will give answer t is equal to 0. So that will be the center point of main lobe. Then substitute fbt is equal to 1. That is going to give t is equal to 1 by tb. 1 by fb. That is same as tb. That is why here tb, the 0 will be there, and the center point at t is equal to 0. This is a impulse response of the filter. So this impulse response of the filter shows that when you are giving a pulse to this filter, that's whatever be the amplitude we are giving at t is equal to 0, that same amplitude will come at the output side. That's the meaning of 1. So if you are giving 1, output will be 1. If you are giving minus 1, output will be minus 1. But the filter is not making any amplitude at t is equal to tb. That is our requirement. This signal should be transmitted with a 0 amplitude at tb. 0 amplitude at minus tb. That again you can see. 0 amplitude at minus tb. 0 amplitude as plus 2 tb. That is here. 0 amplitude as minus 2 tb. That is also here. And amplitude should be 1 when n is equal to 0. So n is equal to 0, amplitude is 1. So the whatever be the needed answer that we are able to get from this filter. That is why using Nyquist filter, signals can be transmitted without any ISI with a bandwidth of fb by 2 hertz. But now the problem is how this filter is realizable. This is not a realizable filter because sharp cutoff is not realizable. So Nyquist filter is not realizable. If you are not able to realize this filter, this impulse response is not realizable. If this impulse response is not realizable, we are not able to get a result like this. So that is an indication. Signals cannot be transmitted without ISI. So always there is ISI is always there because this is not realizable. If this can be realized, then only signals can be transmitted without ISI. So only thing is now what we can do, how to reduce ISI. First we will study what are the practical filter we are able to use instead of Nyquist filter. That filter is known as raised cosine filters. So these are the transfer function of raised cosine filter. So that is a practically realizable filter instead of this rectangular pulse. There is a brick wall shape. This is ideal filter, that is a Nyquist filter with a roll-off factor is equal to 0. Alpha is a roll-off factor. Roll-off factor is equal to 0. That's a Nyquist filter. Bandwidth is only FB by 2, but that is not realizable. So the next one is, I am taking this one, this realization. So this is starting, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. I just divide into 4 portion, and this is 0.75, this is 0.5, this is 0.25, this is 0. So starting from this 0.75, so here you will get at 0.25. Start from 0.5 here, 0.5. Start from 0.25, start ending here 0.75. Start from 0 here, ending 1. That is a transfer function. So this is not realizable. This is realizable but not easy. This is the easiest realization. Easiest realization. That is actually the cosine filter. Cosine. If the upper portion is going beyond this one, that is raised cosine filter. All between this and this, all are raised cosine filters. So when you are going for a raised cosine filter or cosine filter, bandwidth requirement is always greater than FB by 2. That depends upon the roll-off factor. If there is no roll-off factor like this, zero roll-off factor. For red one, for this one, 0.25, it's written here. 0.25. Next one, roll-off factor is 0.5. Roll-off factor 0.75. Roll-off factor 1. So 1, maximum roll-off, maximum bandwidth. No roll-off, minimum bandwidth. That is Nyquist. So based on this one, the expression is there. Bandwidth is equal to FB by 2 into 1 plus alpha. If alpha is equal to 0, that is a Nyquist filter. Bandwidth requirement will be FB by 2. And if the alpha is equal to 1, that is a cosine filter. 1 plus 1, 2, 2, 2 cancel. Bandwidth will be FB hertz. That is this bandwidth. So bandwidth can vary from FB by 2 to FB. Depends upon the implementation of that particular filter. So Nyquist bandwidth for 100 bits per second transmission is 50 Hz because bandwidth is FB by 2, and bandwidth using cosine filter with a roll-off factor is exactly bandwidth using raised cosine filter with alpha is equal to 0.5. So substitute 0.5 here. So 1 plus 0.5, that is 1.5, 1.5 FB by 2, that is 75 Hz for this substitute 100. And whatever be the extra bandwidth needed, that is known as excess bandwidth. So for this particular case, excess bandwidth is 25 Hz. So there is here we got 3 different bandwidth. One is an Nyquist bandwidth, second is the practical bandwidth using a raised cosine filter, and third one is the excess bandwidth. So that excess bandwidth is the practical bandwidth minus Nyquist filter bandwidth. ISI equalization. So in the previous slide I told you that one ISA cannot be eliminated because Nyquist filter is not realizable. So without realizing Nyquist filter, ISA cannot be avoided. So ISA is always there, then we should be able to reduce that ISA distortion using some system. That system is known as equalization. So when you are transmitting some signal like x of t, and if it is passing through a distortion like ISI with a transfer function h or HISI. So what we are getting at the output side is x of f into HISI. Then what we should do, that signal should pass through another system with a transfer function 1 upon HISI. So HISI and 1 upon H of ISI going to be cancelled, we will get the original signal back. That is known as equalization. So if any distortion is going to be happen, just add an inverse of that equalization. So once you are combining these two, we are getting a signal without any distortion. That is a basic idea behind equalization. Here P of t is a transmitted signal, that is from minus t by 2 to plus t by 2. Center point is 0, amplitude is 1. It's a finite time signal. But we are not able to transmit a signal like this because our bandwidth is limited. So due to that reason, there is always a filtering. And again, channels are not a theoretical communication channel. There is again different distortion for different types of frequencies, different delay for different frequency, different attenuation for different frequency, and all these are going to create lot of distortion in a received signal. So you just assume that the received signal is like this. This is a received signal at t is equal to 0, amplitude is 0.8. Actually, we should get 1. At t is equal to, that is t, that is the closing time of the second pulse. At t, amplitude is 0.3. Actually, we want to get 0. At t is equal to 2t, amplitude is minus 0.1. Our requirement is 0. Here also our requirement is 0. Here also our requirement is 0. But we are not getting according to our requirement. If we are getting that way, we are able to say this is not creating ISI. But this is now creating ISI. So then what is the solution? We should use an equalizer. And the function of the equalizer is to make the amplitude 1 here, make the amplitude 0 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 here. So that type of equalizer is known as zero forcing equalizer. Because it is forced, it is forcing the amplitude to convert according to the requirement. Forcing the amplitude to 1, converting the amplitude to 0, converting the amplitude 0, converting the amplitude to 0, 0. So if you are making that 5 points like this, we should go for a 5 tap equalizer. 5 tappings are needed, and that tapping should be passing through different variable gain amplifier system and convert that one into the required amplitude. We need 1 here, we need 0 here, we need 0 here, here also 0, here also 0. So that 5 tap equalizer will make 4 zeros. 2 zeros here, 2 zeros here, and 1 1 here. And finally we want to get an answer like this. At t is equal to 0, amplitude 1, 0 here, 0 here, 0 here, 0 here. That's a requirement. That's a equalized output. For this one, we are using a system known as zero forcing equalizer. That is also known as transversal equalizer. Transversal, that is due to this particular shape. This is that a delay line, and there is a 90-degree lines are there. Due to this particular shape, it is known as transversal. And there are tapping. This is considered as that delay line. From there are 2n plus 1 taps. Tap 0, tap 1, tap 2, etc. Tap n. This side also there are n taps. Total 2n plus 1 taps are there. For this particular case, there are 5 taps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So once you want to make only 2 zeros here and 2 zeros here and 1 1, we need 5 tap equalizer. Or the simplest one is you make 1 here and 0 here and 0 here. That's all. It's the 3 tap equalizer. So practically 3 tap equalizer, 5 tap equalizer, 7 tap equalizer, 9 tap equalizer, etc. can be implemented. Here the input is x of t and the equalized output is y of t. It is passing through a variable gain amplifier W0. W0 is the weight of this amplifier, basically the gain of the amplifier. The function of this amplifier is to make the amplitude 1 at t is equal to 0. And there is a delay t second passing through another variable gain amplifier with the gain W1. The function of this amplifier is to make the amplitude 0 here. Function of this amplifier is to make the amplitude 0 here, etc. There are n taps. Left side also there are n taps. Total 2n plus 1 taps passing through 2n plus 1 variable gain amplifiers with weights W0, W1, W minus 1, W2, W minus 2, etc. Wn, W minus n. So the function of this center one is to make the amplitude 1. Function of this amplifier is to make the amplitude 0, 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 make the amplitude 0. We want to get an answer like this. So total number of taps are 2n plus 1, and W is the weight of variable gain amplifier. So what we want to calculate here is what should be the weight of these amplifiers for a given signal. So that is going to be calculated next. So once we can calculate the gain of this amplifier system, we are able to design zero forcing equalizer. For this, first we are calculating the impulse response of that equalizer. Impulse response of equalizer h of t is equal to, meaning of impulse response is input is delta t, what is the output? That is known as impulse response. We can see if the input is delta t, what is the output? Input here delta t, so output will be W0 into delta t. Here delta t minus t into W1 plus delta t minus 2t into W2, etc. delta t minus nt into Wn. Left side delta small t, delta bracket small t plus t into W minus 1 plus delta t plus 2t into W minus 2, etc. delta t plus nd into W minus n. That is the output. That is the impulse response. Same thing is written in the next page. Impulse response is W minus n delta t plus nd, etc. Wn delta T minus Nd. It can be written like this: sigma K is equal to minus N plus N Wk delta K T minus Kt. Wk, that's a weight. Wk delta T minus Kt. This is impulse response of the filter. Now the input signal is given to a communication channel, that is our input signal is without any distortion, that is passing through a communication channel with impulse response C of t, that's a channel response, and surely that is going to generate an interference. To avoid that interference, we are using another system known as equalizer with impulse response h of t, and finally we are getting the output. So if two systems are going to be cascaded, we are going to get another response that is known as P of t. P of t is the convolution of C of t and h of t. If two systems are cascaded, the combined functions impulse response is the convolution of individual responses. So P of t is equal to C of t convolution h of t. That is equal to C of t convolution h of t is already written here. I am writing here again, sigma Wk delta T minus Kt. So between these two convolution, C of t convolution delta T minus Kt is C of t minus Kt. So that is written here, C of t minus Kt. Like a x of t convolution delta T minus T naught is equal to x of t minus T naught. Here C of t convolution delta T minus Kt is equal to C of t minus Kt. So Wk is already Wk here, sigma sign. So this is P of t. But our requirement is not P of t. P of t is our final output signal. We don't require a P. We don't want to verify what is P of t. We want to verify only at the sampling time what are the amplitudes we are going to get. So at the sampling time, t is equal to nt. That is P of nd. Because we are interested only for that sampling time amplitude. Our requirement is amplitude at 0 should be 1. Amplitude at t, minus t, 2t, minus 2t, etc. should be 0. So P of nd is equal to sigma Wk C of, replace t with the nt. So nt minus kt, that is written here, n minus k into t. To eliminate ISI completely, we must satisfy Nyquist criteria. Nyquist criteria is saying P of nd is equal to 1 when n is equal to 0 and is equal to 0 when n is equal to plus minus 1, plus minus 2, etc. But here we are using only 2n plus 1 tap equalizer. That is why I can write only up to plus or minus n. Otherwise Nyquist criteria is saying up to infinity. So this is a practical result. Okay, depends upon the value of n, you are able to say how many zeros you can make. If it is a 3 tap equalizer, we will make only 2 zeros. If it is a 5 tap equalizer, we will make 4 zeros. Imposing the condition 2, this condition, on equation number 1, we will get sigma Wk C of n minus k into t is equal to 1 when n is equal to 0 and is equal to 0, n is equal to plus minus 1, plus minus 2, etc. So the same thing I am writing again here with the simplification. C of n minus k into t, I just writing C of C n minus k. So sigma Wk C n minus k is equal to 1 when n is equal to 0, equal to 0 when n is equal to plus minus 1, plus minus 2, etc. plus minus n. Total how many equations we are able to form from this one? 2n plus 1, 2 into capital N, 2n plus 1. You will get an equation like this. First substitute n is equal to 0. You will get an equation using this one. Starting from k is equal to minus n to plus n, w minus n, c n minus n plus w minus n plus 1, so like that. So we will get a one equation, then n is equal to plus 1, one more equation, minus 1, one more equation. Like this total we will get 2n plus 1 equations. So with the help of this 2n plus 1 equation, we should be able to determine Wk value. And that Wk should be used for designing ISI equalizer. The above 2n plus 1 equations can be written in matrix format. This is a easy format to make equation. Same equation can be written in this way. This is a matrix format of the same. Now it's a easy for multiplication like this: z0 into w minus n plus c minus 1 into w minus n plus 1, etc. c minus 2n into wn is equal to 0. First equation we got. Second equation, c1 into w minus n plus c0 into w minus n plus 1 plus etc. c minus 2n plus 1 into wn is equal to 0. Like this we will get total 2n plus 1 equations. Calculate w minus n, etc. wn from the above 2n plus 1 equations. What are the C values? C values are the voltages we are receiving. like this. These are the C values. This is C0. C0 is equal to 0.8. C1 is equal to 0.3. C2 is equal to minus 0.1. C minus 1 is equal to minus 0.1. C minus 2 is equal to 0.1. So what are the channel voltages? What are the voltages provided by the channel to the equalizer? That is that C values. So from that C values, when the signal is going to be received, we will get the C values. C values we will get from that one. And here all these are constant only. So what is only variable is W value. So all this W value we are able to get from the 2n plus 1 equation. So once you are calculating this weight, then design equalizer according to the calculated weights. Once the weights are calculated, now we are able to determine what will be the amplitude we are getting finally after equalization. That is, equalized output P of Nd is equal to sigma Wk C n minus k. This equation, Wk C n minus k. Substitute the values, we'll get the correct amplitude what we are going to get after equalization. Next topic is eye diagram, that is also known as eye pattern. Using this eye diagram, we are able to observe ISI and other distortions in a communication channel. If the signals are going to be received with ISI or without ISI, and other types of distortions in a communication channel can be tested or verified using this diagram. Only CRO is needed for testing this one. Which signal we want to test? Okay, that signal should be given to vertical axis of CRO. Same frequency, sawtooth signal should be given to x-axis, that is vertical input and horizontal input. And after giving two inputs, go for a XY mode. We are going to get a diagram like this. It looks like a human eye. That is why the diagram is called eye diagram or eye pattern. So with the help of this diagram, we are able to conclude the distortions levels in a communication wire. If you are getting an eye diagram like this with some width like this, and that's an indication that signal is received with ISA distortion. If this width is more, that's an indication more ISA distortion. Otherwise signal is going to be received without any width like this. Here you can see there is no width. Here the width in the sense this is a height. So this height is an indication of ISA distortion. So if you are not getting a height like this, we are just getting only a single line, then signal is received without any ISA distortion. And within this one, within this eye opening, this height is an indication of noise margin. So if the noise margin is more, that is always better for a communication point of view. So when you are comparing two different channels, in which channel this noise margin is more, that is always a better communication channel. Noise margin is more means probability of error will be less. And for a which wire this height is less, that is that distortion, ISA distortion height is less, that is again better communication channel. And if the diagram we are getting like this, here you can see there is a width in the along this x axis. If you are getting a width like this, that indicates that there is a zero crossing distortion. Meaning of zero crossing distortion is at every TV second, suppose if you are going from 101, at every TV second the voltage is crossing that zero voltage. But if it is not crossing exactly at 0 or TB or 2 TB, that is called zero crossing distortion. Maybe the voltage is crossing before 0 or after 0, or before TB or after TB. That is called zero crossing distortion. And if the signal got a zero crossing distortion, there will be width here. So the more width is an indication zero crossing distortion is more. And if it is 0 like this case you can see there is 0. So there is no zero crossing distortion, but ISA distortion is there. But here there is no ISA distortion but zero crossing distortion. Where this noise margin is maximum, that is the best sampling time, because noise margin is maximum means probability of error is less. So we are able to determine at what time that sampling switch should be closed. The sampling switch should be closed where the noise margin is maximum, where the eye opening is maximum. So this is the best time. It may not be the center point where this height will be maximum. That will be the best sampling time. So that also you will get from eye diagram. Zero crossing distortion can be determined from eye diagram. ISA distortion can be determined from eye diagram. Which channel got more noise margin, that can be determined from eye diagram. Again, if you are getting like asymmetric eye pattern. This above zero axis one shape and below zero axis another shape. If you are getting like this, there is another type of distortion called non-linear distortion. Non-linearity is there in the communication channel. So that means different frequencies are going to be treated in a different way, different attenuation, different amplification. So that's different frequencies are going to be generated. That's unwanted frequencies are generated. And all these type of distortions are there in the channel. Then there will be a asymmetric eye pattern. Or if you are getting a pattern like this, so here I try to show a perfect one. It's a symmetrical one. No width here, no width here also. So that's an indication no ISA distortion, no zero crossing distortion, and no non-linear distortion. So this type of different types of distortion can be determined without any complication using eye pattern, and different wires can compare after seeing the eye pattern of each wire. Thank you.